All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Got a lot to talk about today. So in just a second, more horrors out of Gaza. I mean, I don't want to start every show like this, but I have to start every show like this because every day you see something that you just can't believe. So we'll talk about that. We'll get into Tim Walz delivers a speech to a bunch of union workers, and he absolutely delivers a verbal beatdown to Trump and Vance. He also replies to the smear campaign against him about his military record. Then we'll get to Jon Stewart appears visibly shocked at Trump's descent into madness and just how much he's flailing on the campaign trail. We have a bombshell story that came out a few days ago about how Trump's campaign was apparently hacked. The emails were hacked. Then we'll also get into Donald Trump was using Jeffrey Epstein's plane to go from rally to rally. I love how this happened, and it was, news for 7.5 seconds, and then it was gone. But Jesus Christ, like, what are we talking about here? And then later on, an update on RFK Jr.'s campaign. It's in a bit of trouble because he got kicked off of a ballot. Nikki Haley delivers a dire warning to Trump. And Mark Cuban versus Vivek Ramaswamy. That's an interesting back and forth. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. And everybody do me a big favor. Of course, please subscribe to the channel. It helps out massively. Okay, so here we go. Now, Ryan Grimm tweeted this the other day. He said the following. This is a message sent to the new mother of twins just days before the IDF killed her and her newborns as her father went to get their birth certificates. So somebody sent this to Ryan Grimm. This is heartbreaking, but I'm going to read it for you. Congratulations, beautiful mama. How are you feeling? Anything we can do to help? Much love to you and your wonderful new babies. Girl, boy. And then, oh my God, I feel like it was a miracle. Everything is going well. And sure, I will always need your support. Thanks from my deepest heart. Boy and girl, I will share you their pics in a DM. Okay. This back and forth just happened the other day. And then what happened? Israel bombed and killed the two 4-day-old twins, Asser and Azel, along with their mother. So the person who was in that DM, Jumana Farid Abu al-Komsan, this morning. Here's a picture of the twins. Israel just murdered them. This is the father. I guess he's showing their birth certificates here, and he's crying because he just lost his whole life. He just lost his entire family. He just lost everything he had to live for. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you think is going to happen with this guy? What do you think is going to happen with this guy moving forward? If you're a betting person, you'd have to say either he's going to become one of the most militant members of Hamas, or he's going to put a bullet in his head. Those are probably the two most likely outcomes. This is what Israel's doing, man. This is what Israel's doing. And look, I literally can't. I don't have the time. Nobody has the time to come out here and go through every single individual case of horror and terrorism that the IDF is inflicting on a daily basis. Because it's not possible. Because they're doing it all day, every day, around the clock. I mean, even if you want to take the low number of murdered Palestinians, it's about 48,000, according to Euromed Monitor, the human rights group. That's the low number. You have that study that came out from the medical journal, The Lancet, that said the death toll in Gaza, when you include the indirect deaths, could be as high as 186,000 deaths. And by the way, they say that's a conservative estimate. Every single one of those people, by the way, about 90% civilians being killed. Every single one of those people has a backstory, has a life, is a human being. And they just get exterminated, annihilated by a psychopathic, genocidal government. The same government that has now set up concentration camps. The same government that was caught doing 42 different kinds of torture to Palestinians. The same government that had IDF soldiers raping Palestinian prisoners with a hot metal rod. The same country that then had its citizens flood the streets to argue for the right to rape innocent Palestinian prisoners. To say Israel lost its way is a colossal understatement. This has turned into a grotesque moral abomination. This is the darkest thing I've ever seen in my life. And of course, you guys know I came to political awareness through the war in Iraq. And everybody knows, hey, that war was based on a lie. Saddam Hussein wasn't linked to Al-Qaeda or Osama bin Laden. He didn't have weapons of mass destruction. We illegally invaded. We displaced millions. We killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. That was over a very extended period of time. I'm not downplaying it. It's horrible, but that was over an extended period of time. And this is, on a daily basis, terrorism on purpose, murdering civilians on purpose. Don't take my word for it. Listen to Ben-Gvir. Listen to Smotrich. One of them came out the other day and said, look, I have a solution. We got this overcrowding at our concentration camps. Why don't we just put them all to death? So in other words, he's saying, I got an idea. What if we go full Nazi? Let's just be Nazis. This is what we're dealing with right now, man. Now, by the way, the same day that I read about this story right here, the two innocent 4-day-old twins being murdered by Israel, the same day, U.S. approves $20 billion in weapon sales to Israel amid threat of wider Middle East war. So this is what Israel is doing with those weapons. By the way, this is what Israel is doing with those weapons. You know what else they're doing with these weapons? They are going on the offense. They are striking first against Hezbollah in Beirut, and they're attacking the political wing of Hamas, the peace negotiators in Tehran, Iran. So look, I said it the other day, I know this is heresy and you're not allowed to say this in the United States of America, but it's a common sense position, so I have to say it. Doesn't Iran have a right to defend itself? Doesn't Hezbollah have a right to defend itself? Everybody likes to shriek and yell and bitch and moan that Israel has a right to defend themselves. Well, that same right applies to Iran. That same right applies to Hezbollah. They were attacked first. So now if Hezbollah or Iran or both of them decide to unleash holy hell on Israeli military bases and do a massive attack against the Israeli military, Israel has it coming. Israel absolutely has it coming. Now, this article gets into the specifics about the kind of weapons that Israel is getting, and of course, 50 F-15 fighter jets, advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, 120-millimeter tank ammunition and high-explosive mortars and tactical vehicles, and it goes on and on. We are arming the new Nazis. That's what this is. So the State Department was asked about the two twins who were murdered in a terrorist attack by Israel against civilians on purpose. And here's the back and forth that we get.
Just hours ago, two twins who were newborn were killed in Gaza with their mother and grandmother as their father went to collect their birth certificates. They're 4 days old, born into war, experienced only war, killed by war. How is the EU responding to this instance, given, again, this comes a day after the U.S.
So I'm not going to speak to specific instances and incidents that happen. I will let the IDF speak to any operations they can take. I will say just hearing this from your reporting, this is obviously incredibly heartbreaking. Again, Israel has every moral and strategic imperative to minimize civilian loss, but I don't have any of the other contours surrounding this operation, and I will let the IDF speak to that.
Finally, just one, on a case that you do have contours for. It's now 197 days since Ahmed was killed, her family members were killed. Medics said they were killed. What's the update on that?
I don't have any updates for you. Go ahead.
I don't know how he sleeps at night. I don't know how anybody in this government sleeps at night, both the Israeli government and the U.S. government. I'll let the IDF speak to that. Oh, it's heartbreaking. Imagine the roles were reversed. Imagine it was Iran that killed Israeli innocent civilian babies who were 4 days old in an attack. Is this how they talk about it? Look, it's heartbreaking, but I'll let the government of Iran speak to it. No, they would say this is barbaric. This is terrorism. Israel has a right to defend itself. This is unacceptable. This is a rogue regime. They're a criminal regime. They're violating international law. And we're not going to stand for it. That's what they would say if the roles were reversed. But the roles aren't reversed. It's our ally doing it. And so what do? Obfuscate, deflect, use passive language. Again, we've seen this. There's been media analyses on this. They use passive language. When Israel commits terrorism on purpose, it's passive language. They describe it as if it's like a natural disaster. Oh, that's so sad, these things that happen. It's so heartbreaking. They say it as if it's a law of nature. We had to murder those 4-day-old innocent twin babies. I don't know how any of these people sleep at night. Guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. We are so far beyond just hey, maybe we should like cut off the weapons to Israel. Maybe that's a good idea. We are so far beyond that. You need to cut off the money. You need to cut off the weapons. You need to sanction the Israeli government officials to the high heavens. You need to condemn them at the UN. And you need to arrest them. Arrest them. If the Geneva Conventions means anything, the Nuremberg Tribunal means anything, if international law means anything, you got to arrest them. You have to. This cannot stand. By the way, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, the same day he approved the further weapons going to Israel, he was tweeting about like the anniversary of the Geneva Conventions or something like that. Mother, just spare me, man. Just spare me. This is so unacceptable. It's so grotesque. Nothing but scorn and disdain and hatred for the people who are engaging in the crime of our lifetime and maybe even beyond that. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.